Hidden deep between dark, towering mountains, there was a village no one dared to visit. People from nearby towns called it the Village of Silence. Long ago, it was full of life, children laughing in the streets, women cooking outside their homes, and men working in the fields. But one night, everything changed. According to old stories, a strange and terrifying event took place. Some said a storm unlike any other hit the village. Others believed something supernatural had awakened in the darkness. But the most chilling part was this. By the next morning, every single person had vanished without a trace. No bodies were ever found. No signs of struggle. Just empty houses, open doors, and cold fireplaces as if people had suddenly disappeared in the middle of their daily lives. Over time, nature began to take over. The roads cracked, walls crumbled, and dust covered everything. Yet, despite being abandoned for years, the village never felt truly empty. Travelers who passed near it often reported strange things. Whispers carried by the wind, faint lights flickering in broken windows, and shadows moving where no one should be. Some even claimed they heard footsteps behind them, but whenever they turned around, there was no one there. Because of these terrifying experiences, people avoided the place completely. They warned others never to go near it, especially after sunset. But the mystery remained unsolved. What really happened that night? And why did the village still feel alive? Fearful Face. Ali, Hamza, and Zain were best friends who loved adventure more than anything else. They were always searching for new, exciting, and sometimes dangerous places to explore. When they first heard about the Village of Silence, they didn't feel fear, they felt curiosity. One evening, while sitting together, Zain brought it up again. "They say no one who goes there ever feels the same again," he said with a slight smile. Hamza looked unsure. "Or maybe they don't come back at all." Ali laughed confidently. "Come on, these are just old stories. People love to exaggerate. There's nothing there." After some hesitation, they all agreed. They would go to the village the next day. As the sun began to set, the three friends made their way through a narrow, dusty path leading toward the mountains. The closer they got, the quieter everything became. Birds stopped chirping. Even the wind seemed to fade away. By the time they reached the entrance of the village, the sky had turned a deep orange, slowly fading into darkness. They stood there for a moment, staring at the broken houses and empty streets. "This is it," Hamza whispered. Ali stepped forward first, trying to act brave. "Let's go. We came here for adventure, right?" Zain followed, but something didn't feel right. There was a strange heaviness in the air, like the village was watching them. As they walked deeper inside, their footsteps echoed loudly in the silence. And without realizing it, they had just stepped into something they didn't understand. Fearful Face. As Ali, Hamza, and Zain walked deeper into the village, the silence became heavier, almost suffocating. It wasn't the normal quiet of an empty place. It felt unnatural, like the air itself was holding its breath. Their footsteps echoed loudly on the cracked ground, even though they were barely making any noise. Each step felt strangely amplified, as if the village wanted them to hear it. Hamza looked around nervously. "Why does it feel like we're not alone?" Ali tried to stay confident. "It's just your imagination. This place is abandoned." But even he couldn't ignore the strange feeling crawling under his skin. A cold wind suddenly passed through the narrow street, making the broken wooden doors creak slowly. One door, hanging loosely on its hinges, began to move on its own, back and forth, without stopping. Zain froze. "Did you see that?" Before anyone could respond, a faint sound echoed from somewhere far away, like a whisper. They all turned toward the direction of the sound, but there was nothing there. Only empty houses staring back at them like hollow eyes. The sky had now turned completely dark, and the shadows stretched unnaturally across the ground. For a brief moment, Hamza thought he saw something move in one of the windows. "I swear, something just moved in there," he said, pointing toward a broken house. Ali looked carefully, but saw nothing. Still, his voice wasn't as steady anymore. "There's no one here." But deep down, all three of them felt it now. They were being watched, not by one, but by something unseen, hidden in the silence of the village. Fearful Face. The deeper they moved into the village, the darker and colder it became. The silence around Ali, Hamza, and Zain now felt alive, like it was surrounding them from every side. Suddenly, Hamza stopped walking. Wait, do you see that? He whispered, his voice trembling. Ali and Zayn followed his gaze, and then they saw it too. Far ahead, inside one of the broken, abandoned houses, a faint light flickered. Light bulb. For a moment, none of them spoke. That's not possible, Zayn said slowly. This place has no electricity. The light dimmed, then flickered again, as if someone inside was moving with a candle. Hamza stepped back. We should leave. Right now. But Ali shook his head, trying to stay brave. Or maybe someone else is here. We came to explore, didn't we? Zayn hesitated, but curiosity pulled him forward. Let's just check quickly. Slowly, carefully, they began walking toward the house. With every step, the light seemed to grow brighter, as if it was waiting for them. The ground beneath their feet felt colder, and the air grew heavier. Even their breathing sounded too loud in the silence. When they finally reached the house, they stood in front of a half-broken wooden door. The light from inside leaked through the cracks, casting long, trembling shadows behind them. Ali raised his hand and gently pushed the door. It opened with a long, creaking sound. As they stepped inside, the light suddenly became steady. And in that moment, they all felt it at once. They were not invited. They were expected. Fearful face. As Ali, Hamza, and Zayn stepped inside the house, the air instantly felt colder, heavier, like they had walked into a place untouched by time. The faint light they had seen from outside now glowed steadily, coming from an old oil lamp placed on a wooden table in the center of the room. But what truly froze them in place was the table itself. Fresh food was laid out neatly, warm bread, a bowl of stew, and 3 cups filled with water. Steam was still rising slowly, as if it had just been prepared seconds ago. Hamza's voice shook. This isn't possible. Zayn stepped closer, his eyes wide with disbelief. Someone has to be here. Ali looked around quickly. Hello? Is anyone here? He called out. No answer. Just silence. Then suddenly, bang. Door. The door behind them slammed shut with terrifying force. All 3 of them jumped and rushed back, trying to open it, but it wouldn't move. It was as if something on the other side was holding it closed. Open it. Open it. Hamza shouted, panic rising in his voice. But before they could react further, something else caught their attention. On the wall across the room, a shadow appeared. It slowly stretched upward, twisting and shifting unnaturally. But there was no one there to cast it. Zayn whispered, barely able to breathe. That's not our shadow. The flame of the lamp flickered violently, and the room seemed to grow darker with every second. Then a faint sound echoed behind them. Soft footsteps. Slow and deliberate. But when they turned around, there was no one there. Yet the feeling was clear. Something unseen was now inside the room with them. Fearful face. The room grew colder with every passing second. Ali, Hamza, and Zayn stood frozen, their eyes locked on the strange shadow moving across the wall. The air felt thick, making it hard to even breathe. Then suddenly, the shadow stopped. A deep, chilling voice echoed through the room, coming from nowhere and everywhere at once. Why did you come back? The 3 friends looked at each other in pure confusion and fear. What do you mean? Ali stammered. We've never been here before. For a moment, there was silence again. Then the oil lamp flickered violently, and the walls around them began to change. Old, dusty frames slowly started appearing, one by one, covering the cracked walls. Inside them were photographs, faded, ancient, and barely visible. Zayn stepped closer, his hands shaking. What is this? As the light grew brighter, the images became clearer. And then, their hearts nearly stopped. In every single photograph, they were there. Ali, Hamza, and Zayn. But something was wrong. They weren't wearing their normal clothes. Instead, they were dressed in old, worn-out garments, like villagers from decades ago. Their faces looked pale, their expressions empty, lifeless. This can't be real, Hamza whispered, stepping back. The voice returned, louder this time. You never left. Suddenly, flashes of memories hit their minds. Quick, broken images of the same village, the same house, and the same night. Screams. Darkness. Fear. Zayn grabbed his head. I remember, we were here, before. Ali's voice trembled. That means we didn't escape. The truth became clear. They weren't visitors. They were already part of the village. And now, they had returned to take their place once again. Fearful face. The moment the truth settled in, the room fell into complete darkness. Ali, Hamza, and Zayn tried to scream, but no sound came out. It was as if something had taken control of their voices and their bodies. The cold air wrapped around them like invisible chains, holding them in place. The oil lamp suddenly went out. Silence. A deep, endless silence. Then, faint whispers began to echo all around them. Not one voice, but many. Overlapping, murmuring, calling out in a language they couldn't understand. Slowly, the darkness started to fade. But they were no longer inside the house. They were standing outside, in the middle of the same empty village. Only now, everything felt different. The air was still, the sky was pale, and the entire place looked frozen in time. Ali tried to move, but he couldn't. His body wouldn't respond. Hamza and Zayn stood beside him, completely still, their faces blank, their eyes lifeless. They weren't alive anymore. They were part of the silence now. The next morning, a group of travelers passed near the village. Like everyone else, they avoided going inside. But one of them stopped for a moment and looked toward the old houses. Something felt strange. He slowly walked closer, just enough to see inside one of the broken windows. And then he froze. On the wall inside, among dozens of old, faded photographs, 3 new pictures had appeared. Fresh, clear. Ali, Hamza, Zayn, standing still with empty eyes. Watching, waiting. And the village returned to silence once again. Fearful face,